Good afternoon. Happy Friday. As you all saw this morning, the administration has sanctioned 7 Russian oligarchs, 12 companies, and 17 top government officials and allies of Russian President Vladimir Putin. Today's sanctions and the totality of the administration's actions, which are in keeping with Congress's wishes, prove the president is absolutely correct when he says no one has been tougher on Russia. We want a positive relationship with the Russian government, but for this to happen, there must be a significant change in their behavior. Has sanctioned 7 Russian oligarchs, 12 companies, and 17 top government officials. As the president has said, he wants to have a good relationship with Russia, but that's going to depend on some of the actions by the Russians. However, at the same time, the president is going to continue to be tough until we see that change take place, and we're going to continue working forward in what we can to have that meeting and have a meeting with Vladimir Putin at some point.
But would not this suggest ratcheting up of tensions in the relationship, and wouldn't a summit have to necessarily resolve some of that tension before it could even take place?
Look, I think that that's part of the purpose of the 2 individuals and the 2 leaders being able to sit down and have those conversations and develop that relationship and hopefully put some pressure for Russia to change their behavior.
Identifying these oligarchs, though, aren't you sending a very distinct signal to Putin that you have to assume he would respond negatively to and not want to come and talk about that?
We hope that he'll respond positively.
What do you want him to do?
We'd like them to change their behavior. We would like to see some significant changes. I'm not going to get into all of those details right now. Again, what we would like to see is the totality of the Russian behavior change. And we want to continue having conversations and work forward to building a better relationship. John? We'll continue, as the president has said, he wants to. The United States is responding to Chinese actions that have gone on for decades. The Chinese have engaged in unfair and illegal trade practices for many years, and this is simply a response to that. We would like to see them change and make significant changes to the trade back and forth that we have with them, and that's the purpose.
But what was it that prompted the escalation? He had already announced $60 billion worth of goods targeted for tariffs, and then he upped it to another $100 billion on top of that last night.
The president is going to actually do something and be tough when no one else has been willing to do this. Look, China created this problem, and the president is trying to put pressure on them to fix it and to take back some of the terrible actions that they've had over the last several decades.
And second question, a few minutes ago on CNBC, Steve Mnuchin, the Treasury Secretary, said, well, it's not intended to. This could ignite a trade war. How concerned is the president that this could tip the balance into a trade war? Because the stock market took a look at that statement, didn't like it at all.
We are, again, this is something that China has created, and President Trump is trying to fix it. And we are moving forward in that process of we're going to continue putting pressure on China to stop in the illegal and unfair trade practices that they've continued in for decades.
Is he willing to fight a trade war on this?
We don't want it to come to that. The president wants us to move to a process of fairness, to free and fair and open trade, and that's what he's trying to do.
Does the president think that trade wars are easy to win? Is that still his view?
I think the president feels like if he is in charge of those negotiations, absolutely. He's the best negotiator at the table, and we certainly have full confidence in his ability to help move things forward. I think if you look simply at the Chorus deal, in which the president was able to get a much better deal for the United States, we've made great progress on NAFTA, and we're hoping to have great progress on the trade negotiations with China.
And Sarah, if I can ask you,
We are, again, this is something that China has created.